Hey folks, welcome to the Three Marketeers. Today, along with me, I have Kushal Ponnappa, who is the CEO of Kurgal Corporation, and also Manoj Raj, who is an expert in end-to-end customer portfolio building and also an expert in data analysis. Along with them, there's someone who's joining all the way from US to do this podcast. She is Mary Claire Bloodworth. She's been working in Ground Truth as managing director, and also she has experience over 10 years in the marketing automation industry. Today, along the conversation, we're going to learn about marketing automation and location-based marketing, and also how a business can leverage marketing automation for their benefits.
I'm not doing brain surgery. I'm just selling media.
Not learn something like this in 3 years, what I've learned in just like 30 minutes right now.
Will you be interested in joining?
Think about big brands, right? Like Nike.
So, answering.
Did I answer it? Did I answer the question?
You have a question to me.
That's for you, Manoj.
You got the right answer.
That's a very good question. Mary, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about you guys?
Having you on the show today, and thank you for doing this.
I'm delighted to be here. Thank you.
I have gone through your profile, a lot of times, and Mary, starting from an insurance assistant today to a managing director, how was the journey from there to here? Can you, share us some insights, and if there's something that you've learned along the journey?
Yes, I would say I think a good work ethic was instilled by my parents from an early age. That in order to, you know, get anywhere or be what you want to be, then you need to put in a hard day's work. You need to go and it's about showing up. It's about being respectful and networking. Like I think every job that I ever have had along the way has been about networking. Who do you know? So yes, there's a lot about what you know and what you can bring to the table and how you present yourself. But more than anything, it's making sure that you're making solid friendships and relationships within any business line that you want to be in. And that honestly has been what's allowed me to.
In a way, the consistency is also the key, if I'm getting it right. Correct?
Oh, yeah. Exactly. Consistency, but definitely who you know and, you know, putting your head down and working hard. So I'd say that's pretty much what's gotten me to be from where I was to where I am now.
Yes, it's actually good. So along the journey, like what made you choose that, okay, this is the industry that I'm going to go ahead, put my life, and you have put a lot of years in, marketing industry and understanding the marketing automation and everything. So where did the decision come from?
So honestly, I went to school to do PR, public relations, but I ended up switching and doing media. It just fascinated me. Advertising has always fascinated me. How brands and companies how they basically marketed to people and the right audience and like the way they did that. So I was very interested in. When I was at Kara, which was which is a advertising huge advertising company under Dentsu, the umbrella of Dentsu. That was media buying. So I did media buying and planning, but I was really more interested in some of the partners that we worked with, which were like digital partners and XAD. Ground Truth was XAD at the time, was mobile. And that I knew that was the future. So really it was just being, knowing my rep and having a good relationship with my rep at the time and realizing that there was opportunity for growth in that industry versus, for example, TV or linear TV, which we knew wasn't going anywhere, was kind of not dying necessarily, but stagnant. So I just wanted to be involved with an innovative channel. And that's ultimately how I ended up choosing and being chosen to work at Ground Truth.
I really want to give our audience, a good idea about, the business that you're in or the industry, specifically. And if I really want to tell them how this marketing industry works, you are the managing director of one such, big ad tech company. Can you educate our audience on a very basic level, or even can you give us, how the entire system works?
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's the easiest way to explain location based marketing. So a lot of times you'll hear it, the terminology being proximity marketing or geofencing. But really, it's all under the umbrella of location based marketing. And in essence, what that means is we want to reach people based on where they're physically located in the world, right? versus what they search for online, or what they're following on social media or liking on social media, because that's very aspirational at times, versus where I'm actually physically visiting in the real world is going to give you more of an understanding of who I am as a consumer. So our technology allows us to reach people, consumers in the world, based on their physical location, to drive them to take a business action, whether that's visiting a brick and mortar business or actually going online to purchase something, or sign up for something, or any of those types of actions. So that's the premise of what we do. And then I can tell you a little bit about how that's done if you want to know that now, or we can talk about that.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm seeing most of the people or most of the brands who want to advertise their brand, they don't know anything about geo or targeting, or they can target audience based on the location and all, right? What they know is like the basic level, like they go to Facebook or Google, just select the location and do the branding or advertisements or create the awareness. So yours is completely different, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. It is different. It's a different piece of the marketing pie. So social is very important, obviously. Search or Google, Bing, all of that is very important as well for a number of different industries. What makes us different is everyone has a cell phone. Most people have cell phones, right? So how our technology works is we partner, or our company partners with over 100,000 different apps. So those are going to be outside or different from your Facebooks and your Instagrams, right? We know those as walled gardens, meaning that in order to buy their inventory, ultimately, you have to go directly to a Facebook or go directly to Instagram to advertise, right? So what we do is we partner with all the other apps that you or a consumer are going to have on their phone. So think of like Words with Friends. That's like a gaming app, or MyFitnessPal, or a news app, all of those that you're going to have on your phone. So when a consumer or a person shares their location, we're able, through those partnering apps, to be able to understand where they're actually located, and with very high precision because of GPS information, right? So Wi-Fi, lat long, GPS, all of these coordinates, or all of these ways, indicators to understand location, are then passed back to my company. So that's kind of like the first point of it, is like being really sure and certain of that a consumer is located where the phone actually is saying that they are. So for example, we don't know that it's Mary Claire Hitson. We know that it's device ID 6249, whatever, right? So because of that information, and any information that I personally may choose to share with an app, so I may say to a fitness app, my goal is to lose 10 pounds. I'm a female. I live in Atlanta, and I'm 34 years old, right? So I'm sharing that willingly with the app. That information, demographic information, is also passed back. So that also gives us an indicator of who this person is, right? So we know now that my device ID registers as female, is a certain age, and this is where I'm located. Once we understand that piece of the pie, we then have to understand contextually where I'm physically located. And that's where my company's proprietary technology called blueprints comes into play. So the best way to think about a blueprint is a very surgically precise outline of a business or a point of interest. So a deli, a market, a grocery store, a stadium, whatever it may be, our team has already blueprint or mapped those physical locations. So whenever a phone or device ID walks into the threshold of that business, we're able to understand, okay, now I know that this device is actually at a Walmart or a Shell gas station or whatever. And because we understand those patterns and have those things mapped out, that's going to tell us a lot about that consumer. So if I'm shopping at Walmart or a big box retailer 2, 3, 4 times out of the month, I'm now looped into an audience, or categorized into an audience, as a big box shopper. So now companies like Walmart or their competitors like Costco or Target have the ability to reach me because they know I'm physically visiting these locations. So again, it's not based on what I'm searching for, which might be aspirational, like yachts and European vacations, which I would love to do. But they're knowing now that I'm actually a very thrifty or budget oriented shopper. Does that make sense?
Yes, it
Yes.
absolutely does.
Awesome. That was a deep introduction towards GT MC. So Kushal, if you want to more in a crisp way, if I have to tell you, GT is something. I mean, ground truth is something which turns real world behavior into the business results. Okay, so the real business results that you wish to. Yeah. So and we are the close competitors, for Facebook, and the accuracy what we're maintaining for the number of visits, as she mentioned, blueprint, is way much more, giving higher results than Meta as well as Google. So that accuracy, was maintained by GT. Sorry to cut you off, Kushi. So all yours.
Manoj, you and in the conversation, Mary also brought up this thing. So understanding from the real world behavior is something that Groundfoot especially emphasizes on. And can you give us a little bit more detail about how this process is done, and like how is extracting is done, that information and everything, understanding basically from the real world. Like, can you define that for audience?
Yeah. So ultimately, the blueprints, and I think I understand the question. The blueprints themselves are how we understand physical location, right? So we understand who's in those parameters. It's also how we can target or reach consumers on their mobile device IDs, or we're omni-channel. So as a note, I'm telling you a little bit about how it's done because of the mobile phone being the key or the key factor of how we create audiences and how we're able to reach people in the real world in real time. So if I'm at a Walmart and I'm on my phone and a brand or business wants to reach me because I'm currently at that location, they're able to do that through our technology. But the other thing is that we're able to reach that same consumer after they leave across other multiple channels, being omni-channel, meaning we can reach that consumer now on their desktop or their connected TV or any of the other OTT over the top devices like a laptop or any smaller screen. So that's done again through our blueprint technology, which is how we create audiences and how we reach people in real time. The blueprints, and Manoj was talking about this, turning real world behaviors into actions, into business results. It's also the biggest difference between us and maybe Facebook or social is that we're able to measure physical visits as a measure of attribution, right? So we're able to say, we know that a device ID was served an ad while they were at home or on their phone or on their desktop or on whatever. And then they actually post ad exposure visited a brick and mortar or a business. So we're able to say they've seen the ad, they went into the store, which is basically the holy grail for any brick and mortar or business that wants to drive someone into their store. And again, all of that's done through the mapping technology, the blueprints, which is again our proprietary technology, which again enables us to create audiences, target in real time, and then also measure physical visitation. So I'm not sure, did that answer your question?
Yes. So in a way, you design these campaigns for the brands, right? If I'm getting it right. So apart from all the technicalities, this is sort of pure curiosity. So yes, what I'm thinking is there is a lot of creativity involved in all design and everything, right? And when such creativity aspects are involved in such large scale, how do you manage it as a company?
In terms of building campaigns for clients, or
Yeah, maybe in terms of building campaign, or also creating a story for a brand in that case, or maybe making an advertisement.
Gotcha. So there's two worlds here, right? There's the marketing foreground truth, and then there's how we assist businesses in being creative to reach their end consumers. So there's marketing for our company and then helping others market for their own, right? So we have an incredible marketing team. And actually, I just went to an offsite in New York, and I was able to spend some time with our CMO and his amazing team, who I work really closely with, because I work on the self side serve of the business. We have different uh, facets of our company. We have a managed services team that's incredible. We have our self-serve team, where small to mid-sized businesses can actually log into our technology and run their own campaigns with our assistants. We have a reseller team that works with huge channel partners. And then we have WeatherBug, which is our owned and operated app. And to you asked a little bit about how we understand data, and that's one of the ways that we are able to obtain data is through those app partnerships like WeatherBug. Altogether, the marketing team really helped us kind of understand a little bit about how they market Ground Truth. And there's brand marketing and there's performance marketing.
Yeah. Can you get into both in the brand marketing and the performance marketing? If you could give us a little bit insight there.
Yeah, sure. So brand marketing, that's really more, think about big brands, right? Like Nike, global brands, Nike, I'm like Adidas, I don't know, sports brands. I'm thinking that way. But these are big brands that they don't necessarily need to, they do and they don't. They don't necessarily need to go through the minutia of understanding performance metrics, because their brand really does it for them. Everyone knows, it's a household name. So now it's really just tapping into like the loyalist, or how they're going to get that brand in front of the right influential marketer or whatever. So the brand marketing team is really more focused on the awareness of that brand, versus a performance marketer, which is what a lot of maybe smaller to mid-sized businesses are focused on, which is the performance metrics, clicks, CTR, visits, right? Really getting into the weeds of how marketing is working for that brand. Now, my understanding, what I learned is that a good marketer does both, right? They understand the brand aspect of pushing that brand out into the right markets, into the right audiences. And then the performance marketer part of them is also really trying to tie it back to those metrics, to those KPIs. So our team at Ground Truth really is doing both. They're doing the air coverage for helping the right businesses that need location-based marketing know that Ground Truth is the leading location-based marketing tech company to work with. And so the brand name already is there. When a sales team comes to the door and is like, hey, you want to talk about Ground Truth? They're like, oh, yes, I know Ground Truth. I've seen it here, and here, right? So that's the brand marketing aspect of it. And then on the flip side, the performance marketing is going to the trade shows, is going and running, drinking our own Kool-Aid, if you will, where we're doing geofencing around the right trade shows like Digiday and Adweek, and the NADA trade shows and all of this, to understand, are we reaching that right audience, and are they actually then converting on our website to learn more and ask for a follow-up or a demo of our platform or what have you. So our marketing team is charged with both of those. And that's how we do it from the GT side of things. That's a very long-winded answer. Is that helpful?
Do you have anything to add to that, Kushal, Manoj?
I don't have anything to add, but still, how can you measure the success of these campaigns, this location-based marketing campaigns success? How can you measure that?
Yeah, so it's going to be different for every client, right? And as we all know, everyone has their own KPIs or their own key performance indicators that they're going to measure success by. So a good seller or a good consultant, if that's what we consider ourselves, partner, is going to really lean in and understand what that business considers to be success, right? So for example, a business without a brick and mortar, without a storefront that's trying to drive someone into their store. Maybe it's a professional service like a dentist or a roofer or something of that nature, where they don't have that ability to understand, well, I served a consumer and then they visited my storefront, right? So for those types of businesses, it's lead generation or awareness play. And that's where that's where proximity marketing or location-based marketing really helps, is honing in on that right specific territory or that right specific audience to at least get that message in front of them. So it's really touching the top of the sales funnel for brand awareness. And that's what my team's job is really helping that end client or our partners understand, is like, this is very top level for you guys. This is reaching that right consumer to get them to your website or get them to your Facebook page or whatever. But it's up to you and your marketing team, or you, small business owner, to then drive them further down the funnel. Our job is really to get them there. So we have to be realistic and set those realistic expectations with clients to let them know with proximity marketing, it's helping you drive leads, but we're not necessarily here to convert them. We're here to get them to you. And that's half the battle at times. It's just a lot of people do the whole spray and pray, meaning like, just, I'm going to reach anyone and everyone. And sometimes that works depending on who you are and what your product is. But oftentimes you really need to hone in and you really need to be specific and put your money where your market is. And so that's what we do. So in terms of measuring success, it's, did we reach that right? Did we reach that right audience? And one thing that we're able to show our partners on our platform is the type of consumer that they're actually reaching. And again, that's based on the physical location. So it's very insightful to help them see who's clicking on their ad, who's driving to their website. And that tells a different story than maybe what they thought their end consumer was. So there's a lot of data that they're able to understand and gather, and then take that data or that subset of consumer that they didn't realize were actually engaging with them, and then take that and apply it to other channels, right? Take that to Google, take that new keyword to Google, take that social audience into consideration, and then really start honing in on who they're trying to reach. And that's how we're able to then build that marketing mix or be a part of that marketing puzzle.
So, MC, is it like, this location-based marketing, is it limited to any particular business category, or is it for, anyone who's having a small business or big business or industry, or how is it?
Yeah, great question. So the best use case for location-based marketing when it comes to ground truth specifically, because we're in the business of driving results through visitation and understanding that as a key success metric. So any business with a brick and mortar, be it a small mom and pop ice cream shop, right, that has one location, or a franchisee that has thousands of locations, we're there to drive physical visits for them. And once that so the hardest part is getting someone to go through your door, especially with all of the noise and competition out there. So if we can get the right consumer into the door, that's half the battle for the brick and mortar. And then they're able to convert them, especially if it's restaurant, right? So QSRs, which are quick service restaurants, we know them as the McDonald's, the Wendy's, the Taco Bells of the world. That's our bread and butter. We do wonderful things with tons of businesses in the QSR space, within any of the dining, right? That's easy. That's our bread and butter. Retail is also a great category or great vertical that leverages us, as well as CPG, so consumer product goods. So that would be like your toilet paper, your toothpaste, things of that nature that are sold at these big box stores. Work with a ton of CPG products, and we actually have a dedicated CPG team because of how well we're able to move product for them. Automotive is another big one, right? There's a lot of competition in automotive, and we have a ton of data that we're able to leverage, not from just our first party, but also we can partner with third parties. So like Polk Automotive has a just plethora of information and wealth of knowledge when it comes to consumers based on their past purchase behaviors or DMV information, which is our like Department of Motor Vehicles information, where everyone in the United States has to like register their vehicles, right? So all of that information is at the fingertips of any of our clients that want to reach a consumer based on whether they physically visit somewhere through our first party or through third party data. They're able to layer on top of campaigns to reach that end user. But to that point, honestly, anyone that has an audience, which is any brand, any business, can leverage us to reach that end consumer, again, based on where they're physically located. So we have ones that work really, really well that are just like no-brainers because of the physical aspect of their businesses. But then we mentioned earlier those that don't, like professional services or financial or education, like colleges and universities. We've seen it all. And it's again about setting realistic expectations with your partner to help them understand why it's an important aspect to it.
Okay, I think it's. I mean, in the advertisement industry, it's a game changing. I think, and most of the people or brands, I don't think they know about this industry. I mean, especially in India. What say, Manoj?
Definitely, I totally agree with you. Even in India, we are based out of Gurgaon, but very less people, know about our technology. And this is one of the most amazing technology that we have in the market, such a big market called US. So as MC mentioned, we are connecting the dots. That means we are connecting the location of each and every individual in US. So a person, who is going from starts from coffee shop to to touching the Walmart, or even his business locations, if he's going to gym or if he's going to shop something. So we are connecting the line in each and every business locations wherever he's trying to go, and we are giving them and introducing them. Let's say a person is going to Domino's, who is maybe a 5 miles away or 2.5 miles away, so we are actually targeting them, saying that you have 50% discount, if you go to Domino's, and you have a best deal offer, right away. So that is one of the most fantastic things, the advertising industry is moving towards. And of course, we have had a lot of competitors in this domain, who have not reached to this level yet. So ground truth is hitting on top, and it's definitely, will be the next level. And it is our core responsibility now, to take this to the next level and introduce, to the regions like India, or even, to the APAC region around, so we have entered MENA market as well, MC, to be very honest with you, Tobbs and our team, Abhishek, everyone, we had entered MENA market, and we got introduced to different clients over there. So I mean, I hope, so this continues and leverage the business of ground truth, and as well as, in different markets like Thailand, Malaysia, and even in India as well.
I mean, I was just curious, like, what is restricting us to? I mean, is there any location restrictions to launch this technology, or because if I have to run a campaign in Google or Facebook or Instagram, we can instantly do that. But this technology is very different, and I think this is very potential. What is stopping? What do you think it's stopping this?
The only thing that I would say is a barrier, or what's preventing anyone in other markets is inventory. Right. So if we don't have the inventory in a certain country, that could be like we as in ground truth. There's a ton of other competitors in this space that may have like inventory in certain countries that we may not, right? And that's based on two things. One, it's the inventory that we have access to, and two, it's something you guys may be well versed in or know about, which are the limitations and guardrails that companies have put on sharing location and data, right? So iOS and Apple, right? iOS, they put out some guardrails with sharing, right, as well as Google. But in Europe in 2016 is when GDPR, which is like General Data Protection Regulations, I believe. I'm pretty sure that's what it stands for, came into play, right? So in 2018, we had to withdraw from Europe, the European market, because we weren't able to actually understand location data because of this new law that came into play. So if there are countries that have these types of laws, like in California, they have the California Consumer Protection Act, the CCPA, that is specific to that state in terms of how they're able to share data or basically share data. So we have to be buttoned up on how we target in that state. So those are the two barriers for why ground truth may not be in a certain market based on inventory and based on any laws that exist, that we want to make sure that we are buttoned up and that we're protecting that end consumer ultimately. So that would be the answer to why you may or may not see ground truth in a certain area. But that's not to say that proximity marketing doesn't exist in that area. It just may not be ground truths in that particular region.
But I'm very sure in the upcoming years, these challenges will be removed, and ground truth will be moving ahead towards the other regions as well.
Absolutely. There's no reason why not, right? We know that there's a need. It's the education piece that comes into it, which is what you guys are doing right now, is you're educating your market on why this is important. I think that's part of the problem, or that's part of the not problem, that's part of the solution in terms of getting companies to really buy into your market. Is one, because there's a need and there's an understanding that there's a need and that it exists, right? So then having the right people like the ones on the podcast to really move the needle to try and get companies like Ground Truth to learn and get that inventory in your space and ensure that there's no issue with laws that may exist.
Guys, I'm telling you, I've done 3 years of business administration and marketing course. I have not learned something like this in 3 years. What I've learned in just like 30 minutes right now.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. It's knowledge sharing.
So much things to learn. Like, for me, this is all something is very new, and there is such technology is there. There is no such idea for people.
Trust me, I'm in this market from last 11 years, but this location-based thing, I'm hearing this from last 1 or 2 years.
Yes.
This is interesting. This is potential. This is the future, is what I think.
You have witnessed all kinds of changes happening in this industry, and you've witnessed the growth very closely, right? Considering this experience, where do you think the future of this industry is headed? Also, like, how is Ground Truth preparing for this? What is the next big thing that we can expect in this industry?
Yeah, so it's interesting. We've kind of touched on it a little bit with how we're able to obtain data in a safe way.
Will AI come in picture in future?
Yeah, I think that it's maybe not sexy, and it's a little bit more behind the wheels or behind the scenes, behind the curtain of how that's being done. That's the future. So it's not necessarily a lot of changes in terms of the channel, right? Like, again, we're on multiple channels. We can reach you on your TV. We can reach you again on your desktop. We can reach you on your phone. So it's not necessarily maybe the method or the channel that's going to change. It's how we understand your data, and doing that again in a safe and respectful way. And our team, we have brilliant minds, as you probably are aware, that do and have created this technology and created innovative ways to understand and gain that data. So instead of, and I'll be honest, like, I know very little of how it works, but I'll tell you what I know and hopefully not botch it. And my CTO not get on here, see this and be like, wow, you really made that. That was terrible. But ultimately, it's not going to rely so much on the inventory partners or the DSPs where we're obtaining location data. We're going to be able to understand that data from the phone directly, and it's called on device. So ultimately, all of the information that we're obtaining is going to live within the phone itself, versus relying on third-party partners to get that information. So the future is understanding how our system talks to the phone directly. And that's really like the most simplistic way that I can explain it, because again, I don't even really fully understand how it completely works. Again, I've been out and I'm sure we've had trainings on it, but that's the future. That's the future itself, is creating a unified, I'm trying not to get too in the weeds here, unified understanding of how companies understand data from one source versus multiple sources.
Mary, do you think that understanding and interpreting data itself is a very big thing in these kind of industries?
Data is a currency at this point. data being exchanged on the DSP, if it's not accurate, it's going to cost less. And if you don't have the right information to give, like, and again, in like the, when you think about it, when we get inventory or when we get information from a publisher, if it doesn't include location, these are billions and billions of like interactions going on in the background, right? If it doesn't include location, that impression or that, potential impression is going to cost way less than a bid that has location information. So data is key. And that's how we operate. That's how businesses should be operating, is understanding what information they're able to obtain from Google, Ground Truth, Facebook. So yeah, I would say 1,000% data is is key.
I think adding to what MC adding to what MC said, the future of digital marketing is itself, in the AR and VR, augmented reality and virtual reality. So having said this, the data is the core part of even for those instruments, or even for those devices, right? So we can in fact, take and carry it away. And I'm very sure, Ground Truth, should be already planning for launching, wherever, the ARs and, all the portable products, wherever they carry it, they are being targeted there, so you should be targeted there, and you should visit that particular store, so right, or that particular space. And again, as in the trend changes, the digital marketing should be more adaptable towards it, so if you see 2023 is more of content marketing, more of podcasts, more of other many aspects in the marketing, right? So likewise 2025, we are not sure what comes in, but we should be more adaptable, we should be more able to be learning, available, to the change that happens in the market. So I think that's one of the point or key things that I would say. We never knew that OTT and CTV will be the core part, when the pandemic came in. So I'm very sure, and I was part of GT where it included CTV and OTT, during the time of pandemic. Even the way it was ahead, it was not at all in the plan in the 2019, right? So, but still, Ground Truth took that particular project, into this pandemic situation, and they implemented it, and we got a lot of inventories, out of CTV and OTT. So that kind of adaptability, that kind of implementation is very much important in this industry in particularly.
That's so well said, is being nimble and being flexible and understanding the outside or indirect factors that are going to influence your business. So for example, great point. We had a pandemic, we had a shift, people weren't going outside, they weren't, visiting stores. So how do we then target? How do we pivot from a business that is primarily based on physical visits for brick and mortar?
Okay, what has changed after COVID for businesses and even for your company? What has changed after, and how was it before COVID, and how is it now for you guys?
Yeah, that's a great segue. To Manoj's point, we were not omni-channel, or we had two channels, which were mobile and desktop. And with the pandemic, we had a shift. We had to pivot to understand where the audience was consuming media, and that was at home. That was on their TV, on their connected TV devices, and on their laptops, because that's all anyone could do. And so for our company specifically, it was focusing on CPG, focusing on creating like new blueprints for like pickup. That became a thing where you couldn't go in store, but they could bring you your items outside. So it was creating pickup lane blueprints, right? To create audiences for that, maybe going to a Walmart, for example, or a Kroger or some kind of grocery store to pick up their groceries. So it was really shifting into understanding how people were consuming media. With now that becoming the norm, right? Like people are so now connected to their connected TVs and things like that. And we're back into the real world of moving and grooving. It's we've kind of adopted the postures or the channels that we grew to know and love in the pandemic. They're still a part of us, and they're still kind of how we shop and how we think about buying and how we think about consuming. So that's what's different is we pivoted. We had to make that change and add those channels because that was important to keeping our heads above the water. Um, and we still now continue to use them. And I think as long as people or businesses are mindful of consumers and how and their audiences and how they're consuming and how they're buying, that's going to be half the battle, if that makes sense.
Uh, has anything changed in India markets? If I have to ask you, Manoj and Kushal.
Post-COVID, Manoj?
Yeah.
Post COVID, definitely, we are in Tamate and doing the podcasts, so
And also what MC told, the way that we are consuming media, I think that has definitely changed, right?
True.
very true, very true. And when it comes to in India specifically, the performance marketing has been increased over the period of time, right? So, see, what is performance marketing? So it's basically, we are focusing more towards the lower funnel, right? So we are focusing more towards the purchases that takes place or the conversions that takes place. So in India, as we see, there is lot many people who are investing towards the lower side of the funnel. So they're running short campaigns, they're running, D-Day campaigns, they're running prime campaigns where they can grab as many deals as possible, and they have to close that particular deal, right? So these are the trends that is happening currently in India, and I'm very sure that in coming days there will be a lot many brands that will come out in the industry and focus towards the branding as well as the conversion piece. So performance marketing is the key market as of now, where the India market is trying to support the APAC region and other parts of the world. So we are currently focusing towards that.
It's really good that you brought up conversion funnel today. Can you explain us, like, we have seen, the few conversion funnels and we have studied about it, but on ground, practically, how do you design a very good conversion funnel? There can be, because consumers these days they're very, distracted by many other things in the market. How do you design an effective conversion funnel? Where does that thing come from?
Ooh, that's a good one. I would say repetition and frequency for reaching that right consumer. So, one is understanding who you're trying to reach, getting the message in front of them on multiple channels, right? Because that's going to help with your frequency and that's also going to help with your reach. And once you can do that, and it's a lot about test and learning. I think a lot of marketers will tell you that they'll try a channel, and if a good marketer, will try a channel, and if it doesn't work, they don't withdraw, or they don't say, okay, well, that's not for me. They'll do test and learn, right? They'll understand, okay, what worked, what didn't, and why not. So they'll really dive deeper. So it's really the test and learn aspect of a new channel, specifically, especially something like location based marketing, and really working with your partner. So like someone like myself or my team, to rely on their expertise and say, okay, well, this is what we were thinking we wanted to do. And for example, a lot of companies, especially small businesses, will be really honed in on competitive and wanting to reach a competitor. And that being like, that's all I want. I just want to put messaging around my competitors and then drive conversions, because we know if we can get a competitor, that's whatever, that's the holy grail for us. But ultimately that may not be the best idea, or that might not be the best way to leverage our technology, and you're missing the point. You're missing other consumers that are still going to drive new business and revenue for you. So it's repetition, frequency, reach, creating that on an omni-channel approach to then drive in on that right consumer to, as every marketer would say, hopefully get that conversion to happen. And with ours, with that visitation, it's much easier on the back end for us to measure, did we reach them and did they visit? Boom, conversion.
So answering, yeah.
Did I answer it? Did I answer the question?
Have to make sales and marketing meet at one point. They both have to be aligned, if I'm getting this right, Manoj and MC.
Correct. I agree with you. So there are two things, when you talk about conversions, so what is your main KPI? So whether is it just to create the clicks, or whether it's, so having a click itself is a conversion. Okay. So what is that action that you want to define itself is a conversion. So if you want to visits, and that's a conversion. If you want sales, and that's a conversion. So in digital marketing specifically, conversion has different branches in it. Okay, so if I have to talk more granular level of understanding of the conversions, so let's consider e-commerce business. Okay, so you get into Amazon website, you do something, you add to cart something. Okay, and but unfortunately, you will just close the tabs and you will shut down the PC, but immediately you will get an email saying that you have 50% off, or immediately you will get a notification saying that you have 20% off on this particular product, right? So what is happening there? So what is happening is that you are remarketed, because you did the add to cart. So remarketing plays a very important role over here. So when someone does remarketing, there is a high chances of you to purchase that particular product, and that acts as a conversion for you in the e-commerce domain. Okay, likewise, when it comes to ground truth, so visits is a main key product of the conversion, in this particular platform, right? So where Meta, doesn't give visits, okay, whereas Google doesn't give visits, but when it comes to ground truth, it does give visits. How does it give? It's because it is tracking you and me, in the real world. So that is the core KPI. I would call it as we can put it as a conversion. So you have to define what is your conversion, whether to get leads or whether to get visits, or whether to remarket the people, or to have more conversion, more sales, or more purchases, or more add to carts, whatever.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, there is marketing, there is conversion funnel, there is all the data and analytics. As a new business now, I want to build a brand also along with this, right? Like, I'm going to do the marketing, I'm going to design a conversion funnel, I'm going to get leads, I'm going to generate leads, and everything is being done. How can we also ensure that a brand is being built, along this journey?
That's a great question. And you guys are likely, or you are the expertise when it comes to branding versus someone like myself who works with partners to understand their individual needs for the brand. Um, if I had to take a stab at it, I would say that establishing the need, what is the need in the market that you're trying to meet, right? And how is it different? Is it price? Is it an emotional reach? Is it, what is it that is a niche of your brand? Like, why is your brand different? And I would say that as soon as you, as a small business or as a person that's trying to create a brand, as soon as you can answer that question, it becomes a lot more clear on how you go to market. So that would be that's my guess.
Say me as a brand, I come to you guys, right? You guys are the experts. Like, let's say I come to you. Do you should I already have this need developed, within the system of my business, or will you guys help me do this in the way, or along the way while doing this? Like, should I have it prepared, or is it something we explore it along the journey? Okay, oh, you know what? This one feature can also be used as a marketing strategy, or let's say this is something unique selling point which we can. So, how does this process work? How do you develop a need?
That's for you, Manoj.
Okay, all right.
Was it? Yes, yes. Please, Manoj. Yeah. How do you, like, basically, if I have to summarize all this, like, we have to develop a need. But along with all this, how do we?
I have a question to you.
Yes, you have a question to me.
What made you sit here in the Tamate Creative Studio?
So let's say, yeah, that's a very good question. First thing I told, in 3 years of degree, I learned what I've learned in just like the 15 minutes right now I'm sitting here. So my curiosity is just, growing as we, go along the conversation, and getting to know about the insights of the industry and how it works is just coming from a general audience, or even coming from general public, not knowing much about the industry. The curiosity is, genuinely there. So I can say that's the need why I'm here now, like, also in a way to learn how the market works.
That's a very valid point. Yes, Deekshith. Adding to your point, first and foremost thing is to identify the problem. Out of curiosity, you came in here, but you all you need to understand is that along with curiosity, you have also found out, what is the problem statement over there, right? So whenever you get into whenever you yeah whenever you get into a mall, or whenever you get into a shop or retailers, what happens if you're not getting the what you need? or what is needed for you. Okay, so or if you go to a CVS store, which is pretty famous in US, right? So and you are asking for prescribed medicines, what if you're not getting that? So that creates a need, for yourself and for each and every person or individual. So likewise, specifically to talk about GT, that need of visits was very much needed, to create more transparency in the marketeers, right? So one particular visit, he's getting lot and lot of people inside the market. So what is that, the uniqueness that you're trying to give? Okay, and along with that, it is not just the uniqueness as well as the problem solutions, as MC said earlier, so you have to be more solution based, right? So you have identified the problem, you are curious, but you are also giving the solution. But giving only solutions, will not suffice the relations over there. You have to give a right deals, right offers. What if I ask you, as a gym hitting person, if I ask you, we have a deal, per year membership of about 8K. Okay, so will you be interested in joining?
Yeah, obviously I would be.
Maybe you will have a thought, right? You will have a thought process, whether 8K is it worth really,
Yeah,
getting
that
into the
that
gym,
thought we will have to come across that thought, obviously.
Exactly. Or if I come and tell you, see, along with 8K, you are giving, a diet sheet for you, a dietitian will contact you for a month, you can have a free visits. Yes. Along with all these deals, if I try to give you as in many offers, more than, two offers, if I give you, definitely, there is 90% that you will have a conversion, as well as, that need will be created within yourself. Yes, I have to be physically fit and I have to eat the good food, the proteins based food. So that's what, the creation of needs we make for you, so as a marketeers, as a digital marketeers. And that's what.
Yes. So along the conversion funnel, you go on increasing, the creation of value. You know,
Exactly.
yes. Thank you.
Definitely, so as a customer, if I think, you as a customer, I think in both, a business perspective as well as a value creation. So high value and high price proportion, so that makes a very key conversion for making you as a converted customer for me. So again, I'll not think about you just as a customer, but as a long term customer. So what is your problems, what are your things, I'll try to.
Yes. That's really great. Good way to put it. Most gen can all understand, and also our audiences can understand.
So few people wants to start with digital marketing, and few people wants to incorporate something like location based marketing to their brand or something like that. Share some advices for them how they can get started, for industries who wants to implement this kind of technology, and for someone who wants to start his journey in digital marketing.
Yeah. Research, first and foremost, is understanding the terminology of digital marketing. So that's a quick Google search, right? Like, what is digital? What's the currency in terms of understanding how it's bought, how it's viewed. So you're going to see terminology, and especially if you're talking to digital marketers who are assisting you, they're going to be talking jargon like impressions and clicks and CTR, which is click through rate. So how many times is someone seeing your ad and then actually clicking? So understanding the terminology is probably the first step, because it is its own language. Views, again, like all of this. And if you have a basic understanding of digital marketing, that's going to go a long way. So research on and understanding and learning what digital marketing 101 is in the most simplistic layman's terms. I think that's first and foremost, because then when you have a conversation with a digital marketing team or expert or someone in a niche field like location-based marketing, they're going to ask you questions, and you can feel like you're showing up at the table and able to have that conversation and understand what they're asking you. So you both can be speaking the same language, if you will, and are on the same table. And a good digital marketing expert will know how to speak to a small to mid-sized business owner to understand them and not make it too technical, right? So I would say first and foremost, it's the research and the education piece of learning what digital marketing is and how it can work for your business. Two is bringing, understanding and being able to listen to your digital marketing expert or to your team when they're telling you, hey, I understand this is what you want to do, but here's why that may not work. So being realistic and being open to hearing them tell you that I like your idea, but that might not be the best way to go right now. Like we want to get to that point, but we have to build a little bit first. So we got to walk before we run type of mentality. So really trusting the process, trusting that they're going to have your best in mind in terms of building the right marketing mix that's going to work for your need, meeting your need to be able to create value for your business or your brand. So ultimately, those would be the two things. And then three, being open to testing and learning, realizing that it's not always going to be an immediate success, right? I actually have my own small business with my husband. We're testing and learning through direct marketing efforts, through digital marketing efforts. And it's not always going to be a one size fits all. You're not going to get immediate gratification. You're not going to get immediate success metrics, but being open to testing and learning and taking, like we've talked about, the data to make more informed decisions on how you're going to end up reaching your end consumer. So those would be the best ways to start. And yeah, just working in tandem, working and communicating as much as possible with your partners to make that plan work best for you.
Can you share any one of the stories, like or experience, in running such one teams or collaborating with any such brands or something? Could you tell us a story, like how it started, how it went? Were there any challenges along the way?
Oh gosh. Yeah. I mean, so what's really unique about my position or my team at the company is we work with thousands and thousands of different businesses and different verticals and different sizes of business. So anything from your small to mid-sized businesses that are mom to pop shops that again like have one business or they're just getting started, so they're wanting to learn. And then I've worked with the largest businesses out there that are multi-billion-dollar companies. I think a unique story would be a client that I have now that is in the CPG space. And they're in like the seltzer water category, if you will, but they're for them, it's not brand recognition that they have a problem with there or anything of that nature. It's more of the awareness that they are part of a new niche for seltzer water. It's like antioxidant. It's like all these kind of cool pieces. It's not just like seltzer water. And if you read a lot about seltzer like brands, they don't necessarily have a lot of good stuff in them. So it's really setting themselves apart in that category and working with that brand manager and that brand team to understand like the current need of what they're trying to do with this specific product. And then how, working with our team and working with other vendors to, increase sales, are going to get them to that national level. So that's been a really interesting use case that I've worked on recently that comes to mind. But honestly, I can't tell you how many people that I've worked with, political clients that I've worked with. That's about to be a nuts market for the US here in 2023 and 2024. And so just political clients are really interesting to work with because they have, millions of dollars, and they just want awareness. They just want to, blow out their opponents on CTV. So that's kind of an interesting use case. Honestly, I could go on and on and on, but I would say that the CPG brand that I'm working with that's got its own unique challenges, and working really closely with my guy Michael and his team, like that's been a really cool experience for me personally to help watch them.
Yeah, how was it in a way, like maybe you have learned from it, or maybe the experience has anything shaped or changed you personally, along working with such, you mentioned like multi-billion startups and everything that you've worked with.
Yeah, so my goal is not to come in and act like I know it all. I don't know what they do on a day to day. So the more questions that I can ask and the more I can humble myself and learn from them, these expertise in their field, the more I'm able to then take that information, apply it to the next client or partner that's going to have similar challenges and struggles, right? So, really, for me, it's being a student as much as a teacher for my own field. And I would say that's what I've learned is taking a step back and being observant and really honing in and listening to the challenges they face to try and brainstorm and problem solve together. It's not coming in like acting like I know it all or even acting like my product's going to solve all of their product problems because it's not. It's going to solve a problem for them, but not all. And so knowing that, and again, being um, humbled in terms of learning from them and what they can teach me.
Yes. Also, like while handling such big organizations in the position that you are, how do you manage this? Like I think I'm pretty sure you must be handling a very large team. How do you handle the stress on a day-to-day basis? What's your, like, do you have any strategy
And
set?
also
Yeah,
along with the
yeah.
family.
Along with the
Yeah.
family, yeah, definitely.
Honestly, my team, I'm one piece of the puzzle. My team is incredible. Like they're all, gosh, like brilliant people that come in every day, work hard. So I'm just one piece. And honestly, my job's not to manage or this or that. My job's to serve them. How can I help them become stronger? Or sorry, speaking of being a mom, that's my kid. Sorry. You're okay. Being a mom is
That's a
part of
right
it. But
question, and we got the right answer.
That's a good timing, actually. Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, being a mom's, I think one of the most important things you can do in a job is know when to shut it down, know when to shut off and go be with your family. As I'm sure you guys are aware, like it's a 9 to 5. I'm not curing world hunger. I'm not doing brain surgery. I'm just selling media. So like knowing that it's going to be okay, it can wait till tomorrow, and really stopping at a certain point, shutting it down, putting family first. So compartmentalizing and knowing that tomorrow's, well, it can wait till tomorrow type of thing.
There are many women who aspire to be in the position that you are today, right? They dream to have such success or what you've had, and they're somewhere like, if something is holding them back, or if they want to achieve, what would you like to suggest them, or what would their mindset should be towards such things?
Mentorship, having people that they can go to and learn from, period. Like I wouldn't be where I'm at without having the mentors in my life. And having honestly, I'm a spiritual person, so it's prayer for me. It's a lot of humbling and you know I know like you don't want to bring religion into a lot of things, but that's my success. That's how I'm successful. Period. Is my is my relationship with God. So I would say, but if you're looking at it from a practical point of view in terms of like how can I actually do it, it's mentorship. Finding someone you trust that you can learn from, and that's it. Period.
I think MC has to go now.
Yes, I think you really have to go.
Sorry, I gotta feed my kids. Speaking of, but you guys have been so wonderful to talk to and understand kind of some of the challenges and some of the things that you're wanting to bring into the market. And I'm tickled and delighted that I get to be a little bit a part of the conversation and help in any way that I can.
Thank you so much.
MC, I'm so glad, with the same energetic voice and the same motivation, having you in our podcast was an amazing. So looking forward to have you more and more on this. And yes, let me not take much of your time.
You are so welcome, and thank you guys. And I hope that everyone has a blessed and safe day.
You too. Have a good rest of the day.
Take care, guys. Thank you. Guys, nice to meet you. All right. Bye.
Bye bye.